presidential executive order. The tariff rate would fall from the current 27.5% to 15%, according to Japanese state media. Moreover, Japan's top trade negotiator, Ryosei Akazaw, has traveled to Washington to urge prompt issuance of the executive order. The order is expected to include adjustments to ensure the new 15% rate applied consistently to Japanese car imports, along with provisions on expanded U.S. rice imports and purchases of U.S.-made aircraft. This revised deal is part of a larger July trade agreement, which also includes $550 billion U.S.-bound investment package from Japan's government's own banks that comprises equity, loans and guarantees. The two countries are finalizing deals to swiftly execute both the tariff cuts and investment plans. On the telecast with me to discuss this is Yoji Koda, who's the Vice Admiral. He's a retired Vice Admiral of the Japanese Navy. He's joining me from Tokyo. Thank you very much. And what do you make of the latest developments of a possibility of reduced tariffs on Japanese automobiles from 17.5% to 15%? Do you think there's a possibility of further negotiating the tariffs down between America and Japan?
That's what Japanese hope. But, of course, Mr. Trump and the United States, they have their own position, and Japan has our own position. And, Mr. Akazawa, he was the cabinet minister in charge of the trade and tariff negotiation with the United States. He visited, I think, the United States 7 or 8 times before. And of course, the reducing the automobile tax and the tariff down was one of the major subjects, especially Japan has been so much insisting on that, but Trump administration always said, no, 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 no. And after, I think, a month-long staff-level negotiation, Mr. Akazawa finally visiting the United States, perhaps for the last time. So what does this 1 month-long staff-level, the negotiation means? Perhaps there could be some compromise. And, of course, the U.S.-Japan relationship is not only the tariff or economy. That's not my field, but also the security, Mm-hmm. And the security side, there are so many things Japan has been making a contribution that many Americans do not understand. For example, the location of Japan. Japan's geography really contains Chinese naval forces and air forces within the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, South China Sea, and mainland. There are island chain of Okinawa to Taiwan, and Taiwan to Philippines and Indonesia to the Singapore Malay Peninsula. And all of these, the territories are not Chinese territory. And Japan has been playing a major role to block. We call it choke point. So China may have many carriers, perhaps, but it's not easy for China to get out from there to fight against the United States. Right. So this is Japanese contribution. Also, please think about the distance between the U.S. mainland to the Taiwan. More than 10,000 kilometers. Hawaii, perhaps 6,000 kilometers. From Japan, less than 2,000. And huge, overwhelming U.S. forces would be or could be deployed in case of the real contingency or emergency, like the President Saddam Hussein invaded into Kuwait. That's a typical case.
Okay, but keeping our focus on on tariffs and a potential trade deal. There were discussions that had been held in July. The key contention questions that had been raised by Japan was adopting protectionist measures when it comes to its rice growers, agricultural sector. There has also been a condition that has been put by the Americans, by the American administration, for Japan to buy more U.S. aircraft. Do you think these negotiations, the demands that have been made by the U.S. administration, could be accommodated by Japan? And would that negatively impact the domestic economy of the country?
Oh, no. First, perhaps the rice issue, that should be separated from all the other agricultural issues. And rice, yes, Japan had some chaotic situation, especially in the sales and the price of the tax in 2 months ago. But that's kind of the short duration, the impact. And now the rice is stable, and that means Japanese rice supply is not fewer or much fewer than the demand, the market demand. So and all the other agricultural issues or aircraft, that could be manageable. And the Japan is still the largest, the customer of the Boeing, for example, and far larger than the France or Europe. They buy the Airbus, and Japan is, except some, the A350s for the Japan Airlines, that's only 9-10 aircraft, but all the others, hundreds, we're purchasing from Boeing. And almost all the Japanese food supply, more than half are coming from the United States, some from South America, and Argentina, Brazil. So, these areas are not so life or death matter for the future negotiation, and it's manageable. So key is still, they're on the automobile, the tariff issue. That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for joining me and sharing your views. I'm going to shift to my focus to